Well, it's the multicultural heritage. Basically, Brasov is a mix of Romanian, Hungarians, Germans, Greeks, Gypsies. So, a history of all this living among various ethnicities has given Brasov a certain specific issue, a certain soul that other cities may not have or have differently. So, even though I'm not from Brasov, I'm really proud to be part of this community. Well, the biggest challenge was to actually be able to create a comprehensible planning document. It was the first planning exercise in terms of specifically mobility, and some parts were new for us. And I think during the planning process, the public consultation was the most challenging, as both us as a public administration but also citizens were not completely used with, let's say, the strategic view. Everybody wants better mobility on their street, in front of their home, but the strategic view, it was a bit harder to grasp. Well, initially, during the elaboration of the SUMP, there was a time constraint. So basically, public consultation kind of got sacrificed, so to speak. I mean, we didn't go really into depth with public consultation. Fortunately, a few months later, the legal framework regulating the SUMPs in Romania has changed, and we needed to upgrade the plan. It wasn't a great change, but still the structure had to be updated. And within this updating process, we started to go more into depth with the public consultation, and it was interesting because we had people who had real problems, and we didn't thought about those. And also, it was kind of cathartic moment. So basically, everybody kind of unloaded all of their problems relating to mobility onto us. But it was, at the end of the day, let's say, a rewarding process because it allowed us to have quite a better SUMP that would reflect better the needs of the people. Most of the stakeholders have been involved all throughout the elaboration process. So all throughout the stages of the elaboration of the SUMP, they were consulted and they had the chance to speak their mind. Obviously, initially it was something like an amateur level, so everybody was relating to their own personal experience or maybe someone they knew. But towards the end, as things progressed, their opinions became more professional, more strategic. So that allowed the document to kind of evolve during its implementation, its elaboration, sorry. So as the SUMP was, let's say, something strange at the beginning, towards the end of the elaboration process, it really felt like a strategic document that was created. The process of elaborating the SUMP has been assisted by a consortium of international consultants. They were hired by the Ministry of Development and the EBRD. From the beginning, the cooperation was a bit difficult because we were not part of the process of the contract. Human relations, I mean, we're talking with the consultants, there was no problem. But at the end of the day, not being the direct beneficiary of the contract meant that someone else, in our case, the Ministry of Development and EBRD, had the final say on the final product. In this respect, and because also of the time constraints, capacity building in terms of SUMP implementation was not one of the achievements of the process, and that's why we feel that a new SUMP or an updating of this SUMP will need special assistance. Well, without the support of the Ministry of Development of the EBRD, we would have probably begun a SUMP, but much later on that we did it. Basically, if one of the requirements for accessing regional operational program funding would have been, and actually it is, a sustainable mobility plan, of course we would have done it, but it would not have the quality that it has today. I'm not saying that the current document is flawless, but it's definitely better than what we would have done if we would have done it ourselves in-house. Modeling is a big part of our SUMP and was actually one of the requirements that the EBRD and the Ministry of Development asked from the international consultants. And I feel that it is like a blessing in disguise. So initially, when you see traffic modeling and you see the capacity of running scenarios, that's a good thing. That means that you can take out the guessing out of the decision-making process in terms of mobility, which is an absolutely good thing. However, without having the operational capacity to run such scenarios, to operate such a complicated software for traffic modeling, it's just a difficult thing to do. And it seems like a waste not to be able, as a city administration, to run such scenarios through the modeling software because we don't have the human capacity. And as I talked to other partner cities all throughout Europe, this is an issue. Not many cities have real operational capacity in terms of traffic modeling. You could say, yeah, you can outsource that to a private company, but at the end of the day, someone in the administration has to check the final product. So, yeah, it's a good thing, but I think it's a few years too early. Currently, there's two groups of cities in Romania. There's the 8 growth poles who have their SUMPs done by EBRD and various international consultants, and basically they are professional level planning documents. And there are the other 32 major cities in Romania which have done their sustainable urban mobility planning through smaller companies, through national efforts, or maybe on their own. And because of this, there's two different challenges. Whereas the growth poles had to incorporate their urban functional area or metropolitan areas within the planning process, which raises a whole new set of problems and challenges. The other cities had to focus only on the urban fabric of their community. So they are much more simpler, but when we meet specialists from various cities, we find that there's two levels of discussions, and I think at some point this should be create an equilibrium in terms of documents, of expertise, and maybe we can grow together at national level, but with these 40 cities at with the same playing level. I mean, the expertise required at this point is different to the growth poles and to the other 32 cities. The urban mobility plan of Brasov, the sustainable mobility plan, has been approved in early 2016. Then it went through an updating process because of the legal framework, and it was approved again in 2017. In terms of implementation, this is an interesting issue to approach. So the city went on with its normal life, and various investments have been made. Some of them have been included in the SUMP, and they are a part of a bigger concept, and this is, let's say, the real implementation of the SUMP. Other investments which were triggered by specific events which were not included in the SUMP have created or have generated certain measures of traffic that were not included in SUMP. Altogether, there are a set of local measures, policy on mobility that is implemented step by step with each passing day that goes towards a sustainable mobility, towards active travel modes. For example, in the historic center of Brasov, let's say every week there's something new, like an area where parking is no longer permitted, or maybe a certain segment of a street where cars are no longer allowed. So we are not working in big measures, but very small and certain steps towards sustainable mobility. Regarding the sustainable urban mobility planning, I would convey to other experts or to other stakeholders involved in elaborating or implementing SUMPs, do not hesitate to consult the public. It may be difficult at first, but as you go on, you basically create an educated public. As you make efforts, the public will be able to deliver more insight, and each member of the community is the best one to tell you what they need. You just need to gather this into a big bowl of SUMP knowledge and to emerge with a comprehensible document that can be implemented, where local members of the community actually can participate in the implementation. So basically, the public is your friend. It might not seem so in the beginning, but involving the community is the key to a sustainable plan and to an easy implementation process.